everyone, welcome to Book Chat. My name is Leslie and I'm the Reading Machine Coordinator for Monterey County Free Libraries. Today I'm going to be chatting with you about a book called Station 11. Station 11 was published in 2014. It is 333 pages long. It is a very quick read and it feels like it's less than 200 pages long because that's how quickly you can blow through this thing, or at least I did in the several times that I've read it. I am sure that quite a few of you have probably heard of this book now that the mini-series Station 11 was released at the end of 2021 on HBO Max. They did a phenomenal job with that mini-series. It's not the same as the book. It differs in some pretty significant ways, but what I love about it is that the book and the miniseries are in a nice conversation with each other. I think the miniseries did a really great job of staying true to the spirit of the book, even if it did go in its own ways. And it's entirely its own thing. But anyways, I'm not here to talk to you about the miniseries so much as I am about the book. I'm going to read the back summary to you so you'll have an idea of what it's about. Kirsten Raymond will never forget the night Arthur Leander, the famous Hollywood actor, had a heart attack on stage during a production of King Lear. That was also the night when a devastating flu pandemic arrived in the city, and within weeks, civilization as we know it came to an end. 20 years later, Kirsten moves between the settlements of the altered world with a small troupe of actors and musicians. They call themselves the Traveling Symphony, and they have dedicated themselves to keeping the remnants of art and humanity alive. But when they arrive in St. Deborah by the water, they encounter a violent prophet who will threaten the tiny band's existence. And as the story takes off, moving back and forth in time, and vividly depicting life before and after the pandemic, the strange twist of fate that connects them all will be revealed. You know, in reading that summary, I am reminded of how important the job of people who write these summaries is, because I was really trying to write a summary and it was like 5 paragraphs long. So I'm impressed with what this person was able to do with 2 paragraphs, because I certainly could not do that. But anyways, there's a lot to this book. I'm not even going to be able to nearly dive into it all. But what I do want to talk about is where the title comes from. The title comes from a book that Kirsten, I mentioned Kirsten, she's with the Traveling Symphony. She carries it with her. The book is called Station 11. It's a comic book. She's had it since she was a girl. It was given to her by Arthur Leander, who is the man who was mentioned in the first little part of this summary. He's the one who died on stage during King Lear. He was playing King Lear. And his ex-wife is the person who drew it. And it goes into, the life of his ex-wife. Her name is Miranda. Arthur's life and Kirsten's life and, all these other people. But what I wanted to focus on was Miranda's, her commitment to this project. This scene that I'm going to read to you takes place at a dinner party that Arthur and Miranda, while they're still married, are giving. So that's the context of it. Miranda spends most of her time working on the Station 11 project. She knows from the gossip blogs that people here see her as an eccentric, the actor's wife who inks mysterious cartoons that no one's ever laid eyes on. My wife's very private about her work, Arthur says in interviews, and who doesn't like to drive, and who doesn't drive and likes to go for long walks in a town where nobody walks anywhere and who has no friends except a Pomeranian. Although, does anyone really know this last part? She hopes not. Her friendlessness is never mentioned in gossip blogs, which she appreciates. She hopes she isn't as awkward to other people as she feels to herself. Elizabeth Colton is looking at her again in that golden way of hers. Elizabeth's hair is always unbrushed and always looks gorgeous that way. Her eyes are very blue. It's brilliant, Arthur says. I mean that. Someday she'll show it to the world and we'll all say we knew her when. When will it be finished? Soon, Miranda says. It's true. It won't be so long now. She has felt for months that she's nearing the end of something, even though the story has spun off in a dozen directions and feels most days like a mess of hanging threads. She tries to meet Arthur's gaze, but he's looking at Elizabeth. What do you plan to do with it once it's done? Tesh asks. I don't know. Surely you'll try to publish it. Miranda has complicated feelings on the topic, Arthur says. Is it Miranda's imagination, or is he going out of his way to avoid looking at her directly? Oh, Tesh smiles and arches an eyebrow. It's the work itself that's important to me. Miranda is aware of how pretentious this sounds. But is it still pretentious if it's true? Not whether I publish it or not. I think that's so great, Elizabeth says. It's like the point is that it exists in the world, right? What's the point of doing all that work, Tesh asks, if no one sees it? It makes me happy. It's peaceful, spending hours working on it. It doesn't really matter to me if anyone else sees it. I love that. I love Miranda as a character. I love her commitment to her work because she really doesn't care. She just knows that this is her project and she needs to work on it. And it doesn't matter to her if other people recognize that it has its own intrinsic worth, that the worth doesn't come from it being published or people seeing it, but the worth comes from doing the work itself. And to me, that reminds me a lot of the way the Traveling Symphony operates in this post-pandemic world where there's only, a few people around to witness what they're doing. They're putting on these plays and they're setting them to a music accompaniment, and there's no one around to see them, and maybe they're not making a difference, but they're still doing their work anyway, because that's what it's all about, is continuing to do the work, no matter who sees it, no matter if anybody's there to see it. So that's what I love. That's just one of the things I love so much about this book. But there's a lot more. I really, really, really think you should read it. It's amazing. I think you should read it and then watch the miniseries and then read it again. Because that's how I did it. But obviously I'd just be happy if you read it. And if you do, please leave us a comment here, letting us know what you thought of it. In the meantime, happy reading, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for another book chat, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.